If you thought Metroidvanias were just retro side-scrollers for pixel hipsters and nostalgia junkies, think again. 2025 has turned the genre into a multiverse of madness, where swords talk, blob creatures glitch reality, and bosses slap harder than your Wi-Fi during a Zoom call. If you like your platforming precise, your lore mysterious, or your upgrades so weird they probably void insurance policies, this year's lineup has something to slap your curiosity wide awake. So tighten that double jump, charge up your weird laser arm, and prepare to dive into 15 mind-bending Metroidvania adventures you absolutely must play this year.
The key to escaping this treacherous planet lies deep inside it. So upgrade your arsenal and hone your greatest weapon, you.
Metroid Dread. Welcome to one of the slickest side-scrolling comebacks in modern gaming history. Our armored bounty hunter awakens with most of her skills deleted, her suit nerfed, and a giant techno-nightmare called EMMI relentlessly stalking her like it's auditioning for a slasher flick. Stealth becomes your new BFF. Hide, cloak, and pray as you sneak through robot-infested corridors that'll make you second-guess every door. But don't worry, you'll power up like a boss, literally, using old-school exploration, slick wall jumps, and secret path unlocks to recover missile upgrades, energy tanks, and the oh-so-satisfying Omega Blaster that lets you finally turn the tables. You'll square off against classic villains, dodge some wild ex-Parasite horror, and eventually become so overpowered you practically vaporize the final boss with your Metroid-charged rage. The pacing's intense, the movement's butter smooth, and the combat flows like a high-stakes dance with death. It's Metroid at its most modern, most cinematic, and most brutally rewarding. And when that final escape sequence kicks in, goosebumps every single time. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Instead of your usual whip-wielding Belmont, you play as Alucard, the ultra-cool, mysterious, and ridiculously stylish son of Dracula. He wakes up from a centuries-long nap and immediately realizes that Dad's castle has respawned like a cursed Minecraft server. And worse, Belmont boy Richter has gone full Dracula fanboy. So what does our half-vampire hero do? He stylishly moonwalks into the gothic chaos with a blade in one hand, magic in the other, and a wardrobe that says, "Yes, I am the drama." You're dropped into one big, interconnected nightmare mansion where secrets are layered like lasagna, and the map completion percentage becomes your obsession. Forget the whip. This time it's all about weapon variety and stat management. Shape-shifting? You bet. Want to turn into a bat, a wolf, or literal mist to dodge attacks and find secret routes? Done. And just when you think you've finished the game, bam! The entire castle flips upside down and doubles the adventure. There's leveling, gear, item drops, and even alternate characters like Richter or Maria if you're feeling spicy on replays. What begins as a rescue mission spirals into an emotional vampire family drama, wrapped in rich lore and delivered with a soundtrack that could make a cathedral weep. It's pure Metroidvania royalty. Blasphemous 2. Rising from the grave like he hit snooze on the apocalypse, the warrior monk with a guilt complex strapped to his head is back, and this time he's even angrier. Dumped into a cursed new land that looks like Hieronymus Bosch painted your nightmare, our silent protagonist stomps through cathedrals dripping with sorrow, bell towers that groan with despair, and monster-infested chapels so gloomy they make goth poetry look cheerful. It's a pilgrimage of pain, baby. This brutal ballet of blades and blasphemy, lets you wield a trinity of righteous weaponry. A heavy flail that makes the earth quake, dual blades that slice like holy scissors, and a wicked scythe that feels like it should come with a Latin choir. Every weapon unlocks new traversal moves and combo carnage, perfect for punishing those eldritch horrors that leer at you from the shadows. And the bosses? They're the stuff of fevered religious hallucinations, each more grotesque and divine than the last. Custom builds, relics, prayers, and stat boosts allow you to craft your own divine instrument of punishment. With a non-linear world filled with secrets, cursed NPCs, and lore thicker than sacred scripture, this isn't just a game, it's a sanctified slap in the face. Amen. Animal well. You pop into existence from a flower, yes, a literal flower, and immediately realize you're a squishy blob with zero context, no narrator, and a world that feels like a haunted terrarium curated by a cryptic zookeeper with a thing for puzzles. Every screen is a carefully crafted tile of mystery, as if the designer said, "What if Fez had anxiety and a flashlight?" Welcome to a pixelated fever dream where platforming meets pure enigma. You won't find combat in the traditional sense here. No swords, no guns, just an arsenal of quirky toys. Think frisbees, slinkies, and bubble wands that double as puzzle tools and animal deterrents. Your main threats? Giant animals with god complexes, ghostly capybaras, and secrets so deep they practically whisper conspiracy theories. Firecrackers help you spook spectral critters, matches let you ghost bust with permanence, and fruit keeps you alive just long enough to regret your life choices in the next cursed room. And just when you think you've finished the game, surprise! There's an entire multiverse of meta puzzles, ARG-like secrets, community brain-melting riddles, and hidden bunnies plotting your existential crisis. It's not a game. It's a collective mind experiment wearing pixel art like a disguise. Dead cells. You spawn in as a decapitated blob of sentient goo and immediately take control of a dead convict's body like it's just another Tuesday. Your goal? Escape a cursed island overrun by plague-mutated freaks, dodge brutal enemies, find better weapons, and try not to die again. But let's be real, you will. A lot. Every time you perish, your slimy head slithers back to square one, like some grotesque Groundhog Day starring a jello nugget with vengeance. Procedurally generated levels mean the island reshuffles like a sadistic deck of dungeon cards every time you restart. Swords, bows, traps, and shields are your tools of survival, but don't get too attached. Everything resets at death except for permanent upgrades bought with cells. And those cells, you've got to survive to the end of a level to spend them. Die early, say goodbye. Hope you weren't emotionally invested in that electric whip. The story is light, mysterious, and only makes sense if you piece together clues like a goo-based detective. With DLCs, the lore goes from Weird Plague Kingdom to You Might Be the King and also Your Own Worst Enemy. It's fast, flashy, brutally addictive, and dying has never felt so slick.
Are constantly reminded of their time away from this life, hiding in the shadows of the moon. Yet I will not be their prey any longer, but their hunter.
The Last Faith. In this game, you wake up with no memory, in a land where everything wants to stab, bite, or curse you into oblivion, and your name's Eric, which feels appropriately tragic. This place? It's Gothic Dread dialed to 11. Moonlit castles, blood-soaked cathedrals, and snow-choked ruins stretch before you like someone mashed Castlevania with a Black Sabbath album cover. And let's be clear, this isn't your grandma's pixel art. This is gritty, gorgeous, and dripping with mood. Combat. Think Souls-like with vengeance issues. You'll slice enemies into confetti with melee weapons, blast their heresy-loving faces with spells, or introduce them to the business end of your boomstick. Every tool feels heavy, deadly, and disturbingly satisfying, especially when you're executing them with flashy finishers that would make a Templar weep. But don't get cocky. Precision is king, and button mashing is a fast track to an early grave. Exploration is gloriously non-linear, meaning you're constantly stumbling into places you probably shouldn't be yet, only to die, upgrade, and come back swinging. The lore whispers cryptic warnings, the NPCs look like they've been through 4 apocalypses, and the vibe? Let's just say your soul might need a shower after. It's punishing, poetic, and painfully addictive. Axiom Verge. If you're a fan of retro-inspired indie games, Axiom Verge is a must-play. You wake up post-explosion, dazed, confused, and wearing a lab coat that screams, "I did not sign up for this." Suddenly you're in a techno-organic hellscape full of pulsating walls, gun-toting alien nightmares, and ancient computer glitches that feel like they've crawled out of a corrupted NES cartridge. Welcome to the kind of side-scrolling sci-fi fever dream where you're the bug in the system, and that's exactly how you'll win. Armed with what starts as a humble pew-pew blaster and quickly escalates into a Swiss Army armory of surreal sci-fi weapons, you'll traverse a massive interconnected map filled with creepy secrets, twisted lore, and walls that may or may not exist, depending on how much reality's having a breakdown. The real kicker? You can glitch enemies, platforms, and the world itself. That's right. Part of your toolkit involves breaking the game's logic to open new paths and solve puzzles like a sentient virus with a hero complex. It's moody, mysterious, and unapologetically retro, yet somehow feels more advanced than half the AAA market. You'll question everything: time, identity, dimensions, and whether your gun just hacked a wall into non-existence. Forget the rules, corrupt them. This is Metroidvania with a BIOS update and a side of existential dread. Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a masterful indie Metroidvania that plunges players into the hauntingly beautiful, hand-drawn world of Hallow Nest. You descend into the crumbling ruins beneath a sleepy town and instantly realize 2 things. You're a tiny bug with a big sword, and everything in this world wants you so very dead. Welcome to a kingdom where every corridor is a trap, every enemy a test, and every path leads to more beautiful misery. It's a moody labyrinth of tunnels, temples, and townsfolk who are either cryptically helpful or just mildly unhinged. You slash, dash, and wall jump your way through gorgeously haunted biomes, picking up charms like insect jewelry that completely change how you fight, explore, or survive. One might power up your nail, sword. Another lets you sprout helpful babies from your body. Yes, that's a thing. Combat is precise, tough as nails, and loaded with boss fights that'll humble your reflexes and punish your overconfidence. But when you win, it's bliss. And just when you think it's over, surprise. Free DLCs drop godfighting tournaments, dream realms, creepy carnivals, and eldritch nightmares right into your lap like a gift-wrapped panic attack. The story unfolds like a sad poem in bug language, full of ancient secrets and tragic royalty. It's heartbreak, beauty, and brutal challenge in one hand-drawn masterpiece. Chimera. You absolutely need to check out Blade Chimera, people. You wake up in demon-infested Osaka with a conveniently cool case of amnesia, a sword that talks sassier than your ex, and a demon-slaying mission that's part vengeance, part metaphysical crisis. But plot twist, that sword is actually a shape-shifting demon named Lux, who's got more powers than your average JRPG protagonist, and a voice that says, "Trust me, I'm not that evil." Together, you're the anime buddy cop duo nobody saw coming. Gameplay is fast, flashy, and loaded with flair. Slash baddies with Lux, juggle demons mid-air, or just shotgun their regrets away. You can deflect attacks, summon platforms out of memories, and even rewind broken objects back into existence, like some kind of gothic time janitor. As you level up, your skill tree explodes with upgrades that let you warp around the map, double jump to forbidden rooftops, and discover secrets hidden behind the chaos. The art? An eye-melting symphony of neon destruction and pixel precision. The map? Massive, interconnected, and loaded with side quests that tease out every tragic thread of this broken world. You're not just fighting monsters, you're piecing together the apocalypse, one beautifully animated demon punch at a time. Time to remember who you are, while looking ridiculously cool doing it. Shadow Labyrinth. This is basically Pac-Man reimagined as a gritty, genre-bending Metroidvania. You start inside the ruins of a war-torn alien planet with a glowing yellow orb floating above you, whispering sweet, cryptic nothings like it's your cosmic life coach. Armed with a blade and 0 memories, you're labeled Swordsman number 8, which implies at least 7 other people didn't quite make the cut. Puck, your eerie eyeball-shaped guide, nudges you through what is essentially a deadly space maze, where Pac-Man's ghosts have evolved into existential threats with tentacles and trauma. You'll chain dashes, parries, slashes, and powers into a beautifully violent ballet of pixelated destruction. As you carve your way through labyrinthine corridors, you'll literally consume enemies to grow stronger. Because why just defeat your foes when you can metabolize their hopes and dreams? The world is teeming with secrets, hidden paths, lore chunks buried in broken machines, and alien artifacts that grant you upgrades more mysterious than Puck's intention. But the real hook, the fusion of eerie, minimalist storytelling with frantic gameplay and haunting, synth-heavy music. Every step deeper into the labyrinth brings more questions about your origins, Puck's true motives, and whether becoming the apex predator is salvation or damnation. Either way, you're slicing through the truth one soul at a time. And the Will of the Wisps. You start as a glow-stick squirrel of pure light, trying to glide your way through emotional trauma, and by the end, you've merged with a sentient wisp to become a literal tree god. This isn't just a platformer, it's a hand-painted tear-jerker with wall jumps. After a fateful crash landing splits you from your adorable owl sibling, you're thrust into a luminous world of haunted marshes, decayed forests and sunlit mountains, all populated by adorable woodland creatures who are somehow more emotionally complex than most movie protagonists. Movement is where this one flexes. You're not just running and jumping, you're dashing, grappling, burrowing, feather gliding, and triple wall bouncing your way through handcrafted, multi-layered environments. Combat takes a big leap forward from its predecessor, introducing melee weaponry and equipable shard powers that let you tailor Ori to play like a glass cannon ninja or a tanky beacon of sparkly doom. Side quests, time trials, secret areas, and upgrade hunting will keep you spelunking through Niwen like an elegant parkour cryptid. And don't get too cozy. Boss fights and chase sequences here are roller coasters of speed, reaction, and heartbreak. With painterly visuals and a soul-stirring score, it's less of a game and more of a spiritual experience disguised as a Metroidvania masterpiece.
Resonance of time. No one knows what became of the Hyrcanian forest. The Chidra and vile creatures fester beneath the canopy.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. The Lost Crown catapults you into a whirlwind of acrobatic action, time-bending powers, and ancient mysteries just begging to be unraveled. You leap into a cursed city, dripping with ancient secret, time anomalies, and betrayal so thick it might as well be spread on toast. Armed with dual blades and sass, you're not the prince, but Sargon, a warrior from the immortals, tossed into Mount Kaf to rescue royalty and untangle a time-bending conspiracy that makes Inception look like a bedtime story. Oh, and your mentor just kidnapped the prince, so family drama vibes through the roof. Combat is slick and rhythmic, combining fast-paced blade slashes with parries that power up your Athra gauge like a magical adrenaline shot. Once charged, you unleash devastating special moves that scream, "I didn't come here to time travel, I came here to wreck timeline." And thanks to Simurgh feathers, you'll gain wild powers like placing time checkpoints, or instant dashing across platforms like some Persian ninja blinked into a Metroidvania dimension. The map? It's a sprawling, secret-stuffed beast. Shortcuts, puzzles, and boss battles are layered in a dazzling maze of lost temples and haunted catacombs. Take a screenshot and pin it if you're stuck, because this game expects you to explore, fail, rewind, and come back smarter. It's gorgeous, intense, and a brilliant twist on royalty, betrayal, and saving history by rewriting it with your fists. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Turn up the gothic flair, cue the epic organ music, and get ready to crack open a haunted castle door, because Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is the glorious comeback Metroidvania fans have been waiting for. You wake up partially crystallized, mildly cursed, and incredibly annoyed, and your only option is to storm a hell castle overflowing with demons, traps, and your old BFF turned sparkly goth warlock. Armed with gothic drip and anime-level determination, you're Miriam, a walking weapon rack who looks like she wandered out of a cursed fashion show and into the most content-packed Metroidvania this side of Dracula's extended family reunion. Gameplay here is gloriously chaotic. Hundreds, and we mean hundreds, of weapons, spells, and passive abilities can be collected, customized, and leveled up until you're firing dragons out of your face while backflipping in heels. Slay monsters to collect shards, which give you new powers, like summoning giant toads or turning into misty murder vapor. Oh, and you can cook. Yes, there's a full-blown kitchen where stat-boosting recipes turn you into a hungry, unstoppable juggernaut. The castle is a sprawling monster of secrets, side quests, warp rooms, and bosses that look like they crawled out of a cursed oil paint. Toss in voice acting from legends like David Solid Snake, Hater, and DLCs that just keep on coming. And this game becomes a glorious love letter to everything that ever made you fall in love with Metroidvania. It's cursed couture with sharp edges and zero chill. Ultros. Hold on to your space helmets, because Ultros is a gleeful, neon-soaked plunge down the rabbit hole of psychedelic sci-fi adventure. You crash your spaceship straight into a floating cosmic womb, yes, really, and wake up inside a looping psychedelic fever dream full of eyeball flowers, talking fungi, and existential plant caretaking. Welcome to the sarcophagus. A living alien labyrinth that's part afterlife, part greenhouse, and entirely too weird to explain at family gathering. Trapped in a black hole's karmic spin cycle, you'll stab, slash, and sew your way through a story that asks, Are you here to destroy or to nurture? But when you're not disemboweling cosmic larvae with surgical precision, you're literally gardening. Cultivating alien flora opens up secret paths, grants buffs, and probably makes you question your relationship with soil. The loop mechanic, delicious. Every cycle through this fractured timeline lets you carry over knowledge and abilities, unlocking new zones, secrets, and an eerie sense of déjà vu that screams, "Wait, didn't I already murder that space zucchini?" The soundtrack fuses haunting orchestral sweeps with psychedelic Peruvian vibes, while the art is a neon acid trip illustrated by El Huervo. It's a meditation wrapped in murder, a fever dream with a pruning knife, and every loop drags you closer to enlightenment or cosmic madness. Nine Souls. If your idea of a good time is clashing blades, unriddling ancient mysteries, and feeling like you're starring in an epic, this is for you. You wake up in a world where Taoist scrolls and cyberpunk neon lives in harmony. Which is to say, things have gone very weird, very fast. You're Yi, a long dormant hero with a chip on your shoulder and a vendetta against 9 godlike rulers known as the Souls. Why? Because they're hoarding secrets, ruling a decaying paradise called New Kunlun, and probably didn't say thank you after you saved the world once already. Rude. Think Sekiro, but hand-drawn and 2D. You'll deflect attacks with pixel-perfect precision, then counter with flashy sword strikes, charge spirit blasts, and explosive talisman magic. It's punishing, rewarding, and makes every boss fight feel like a spiritual duel on roller skate. You'll need patience, rhythm, and the occasional moment of pure panic-flavored genius. Exploration leads you through glowing cityscapes and forgotten temples in a genre-defying world dubbed Taopunk. It's where ancient alien lore meets high-tech mysticism, and it's all wrapped in stunning anime-style animation with manga-flavored cutscenes that make even conversation feel like a visual uppercut. With a haunting story, brutal combat, and style bleeding from every frame, this is more than a revenge quest. It's a cosmic, philosophical beatdown wrapped in 2D perfection. And that's it, fellas. 15 Metroidvania games that prove 2025 is not here to mess around. From emotional bug opera to cosmic gardening with swords, each title brings its own flavor of platform hopping, boss smacking, secret hunting glory. These titles are labyrinths of joy, pain, and power-ups you didn't know you needed. Looking at you, frisbee-wielding blob thing. So if you are backtracking like a lost raccoon, or speedrunning like your controller owes you money, this year's Metroidvanias will have you hooked. Now go. Explore, slash, glitch, and if all else fails, wall jump until something breaks. Preferably not your spirit.
Even in the darkest hour, do not lose hope.